Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. Today I'm off from the old day job, so I figured, you know what, why not take in a nice matinee? And guys, I think I chose a real wild one, because I'm off to see the new comedy thriller, Crumb Catcher. So what's the plot of Crumb Catcher? Well, it tells the story of a newlywed couple who are renting, I think they're renting, a lake house. And while they're there, a traveling salesman shows up and tries to get them to invest in his invention, the Crumb Catcher. And this movie looks insane. Let's just put it that way. And when I say he tries to get them to invest in this thing, let me just say he holds them captive and tries to show them why it's such a good idea to invest in this product. Guys, this movie looks insanely unhinged, and I am really excited to get out the door and check this film out. So you know what? It's enough of me sitting here yammering on. It's time for me to get out the door and see Crumb Catcher. Welcome back, just getting home, and guys, I did enjoy this film. This was a nice little dark comedy. So let's get this started, shall we? We're going to get things started with negatives, then move into positives to end the video on the ever so important high note. Right out the gate, I want to talk about the runtime for this film. Not that it's overly long, it just seems long. The film itself is kind of a slow burn, and unfortunately there are moments in this movie that really do drag itself out. The movie clocks in at around an hour and 45 minutes ish, somewhere in that realm, and it really doesn't need to be that long to tell its story. The story itself is fairly right there, pretty straightforward kind of thing. There is some twists and turns and so on, but at the core of this movie, it is a home invasion film with some weirdness attached to it. Just a little bit of a different, I guess you would say, twist to the home invasion film, by this being somebody that's literally trying to get them to invest in a business. And so I think in that way, it was a kind of a unique home invasion film, but I feel like the movie spends a little too much time trying to do cool things. Now, honestly, I did really enjoy a lot of the cinematography in this film, but I do think there are moments in the movie that we could have just done without. It really didn't need to be there. It just kind of slowed things down a little bit, and then in points of the movie where the movie and the action itself does slow down and we have a lot of dialogue, you kind of didn't really need those scenes at all. It kind of, make your choices where you want to be, basically. The movie itself was fine. It just seemed a little draggy. It runs at, like I said, about an hour and 45 minutes. The pacing is all right. It's not terrible, but you do feel the runtime for this movie. Let's just put it that way. Other than that, I really don't have anything terrible about that I disliked about this film. I just wish they could have tightened it up just a little bit, and I think the movie would have been absolutely perfect. So you might just say that this is a bit of a nitpick. So let's move into the positives, shall we? Now, this film is creepy. It has a nice little dark vibe to it, and also it just plays on the irritant of the home guest that just won't go away. You try every little thing you possibly can to get rid of this person, and every hint, everything you possibly can, and they won't go away. No matter what you try. You're like, hey, okay, let's go. What do you say, huh? And then even when you finally get to the point where you're like, all right, into the night, let's go, they still don't do anything. They change the subject on you. And I loved the fact that this film really did that. It did add to the lightheartedness of the film, but let me tell you guys, when this movie gets dark, it gets severely dark. I like that about it. It goes into a nice little thriller area of the film where it kind of seems a little whimsical and lighthearted at first. It starts taking a big dive into the darkness category later on down the road. Now, this is also a first-time director, and I'm going to try to do this, Chris Scotchpole. It's his first directorial debut, and honestly, I thought the film was very well directed. A lot of really cool stuff in this film, but I do feel like there needed to be a balance between the really cool shots and then the more dialogue-heavy areas where things kind of slow down a little bit. But that's about it, honestly. Everything other than that, excellent film, great movie for a first-timer. I do not know how many theaters this movie is in right now. I literally found this movie just by my AMC app. I just saw it down literally when I was scrolling through the coming soons. I found it down at the very bottom, and I'm like, well, this is my kind of jam. I love going out there and shining a light on these fun little indie films when they come out. And that's what this movie is. It is a fun little indie film. One of the unfortunate things, though, is that you never really get behind the main couple because they're not the greatest people in the world. Both of these people have their issues, and they're also having problems even at their marriage, to the point where you're like, why did these two get married in the first place? What was the point behind this? And unfortunately, it does hold back the likability of the characters a little bit, but it did need that in order for the story to progress. So all in all, guys, I would say this is a solid get out there and see it in theaters if you're just looking for a fun little indie film to go check out. If you don't want to go see the big budget Hollywood stuff that's going on right now at the theaters, I would say if Oddity or this film is in your area, you're going to have a pretty good time at the cinema. So okay, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.